Well, I'm out here again. Thought maybe I'd show you guys before we get started on the second half of the unfinished part of Cujo here. The other side. This is what a finished mold side is supposed to look like right here. It's very solid. It's been curing for just a little over 24 hours, almost 48 hours. 36, sorry. 48? No, 36. So it's almost been 2 days since it's done, and I've got so much resin in there that eye has been kind of gone over. So I've got one side that's done, and I'm about to tackle the other. And I was going to show you guys some tips and tricks in fiberglassing here. One of the main ones is, what do you do if you have an exposed side and you don't want to put fiberglass up because you got these cards and all this stuff and you don't know how to get this off on here? Well, here's a tip and a trick that you can do. You can either do this, you can take these off, which is one way to go at it, or what you can do is get some heavy-duty aluminum foil. And the heavy-duty aluminum foil works like this. What you can do is take a sheet of it, fold it up in half, like so. Measure out what your flange line is, how big it is, right? And take this and put it along there, fold it up in half, and do this. Take it and fold the fold side. You see this right here? Take this and push this over on this side right here. Okay? And just fold the crease like that. Now that does two things. One, what that does is that protects this side from inadvertently locking onto the other mold should there be an overflap of resin or overflap of fiberglass. Then the other part of that is the second part. Make sure it's on the flange and not on the form. When I get this done on this side, like it is on this one, and I need to get them apart, I don't have to pry it apart and twist it and do all that stuff. I simply take this part of the foil, fold it back to where the crease is, right? There will be a crease right there, and then I can stick a shim in the crease and wiggle it all the way down, if it is that tightly locked. But that's the whole thing. The actual foil, what it does is it creates a not just a barrier so you don't lock onto the other side, but it also helps with being able to reopen it afterwards. And foil will adhere to the form and shape of whatever it is that you're doing, so you don't lose the shape of the flange. So you can go all the way around and go all the way around this thing like this. And it'll contour and shape to what you need it to do. But you stick that in the flange like that on it. And try not to put too much on your form, like just a little bit above it, right here. Don't put it directly on it. Put it just a little bit above it, because you do want to have your resin and fiberglass on the form. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving a little spot on here for this. Just a little bit. Now there's no resin that's going to leak through or anything like that, but these are going to be about 8 to 10 layers thick. So this flange is going to be really thick. So if I can get this fiberglass to be a good separator, not fiberglass, this foil to be a good separator for this, then it won't be that difficult to pry apart. Because the thing is, with the flange part on this particular piece, I do not want to put so much pressure on it that it cracks or becomes weak on the flange, because I've got to bolt that together, and that's what's going to hold this entire thing together for the compression foam to go in. And so the compression foam is going to be pushing against both sides of this fiberglass, and if there's any weak spots or cracks from prying it apart, that's just going to further weaken and crack the mold. And I don't want to have that happen. So, anyway, finish this off. Measure out the measure out the resin part. I didn't do this yesterday, but it was raining quite hard here, so I didn't do it because I was afraid, because I got the windows and stuff open. I was afraid the moisture might inhibit the fiberglass and cause problems. So I didn't do anything with that yesterday. Now there is a little spot right here I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to cover that up, because there is a little spot of resin that's come through. I'm going to just cover that up real quick. It's a small, tiny little spot, so it shouldn't lock. And then I've got pre-cut glass, cloth, that type of thing. So go down here and get this pretty much everywhere I can find it. Then it's going to create a problem. Pushing that down on the flange and then folding it over the open-ended side. And just folding that over. I do have one little spot that I'm going to patch up with some clay right here, just to make sure that it doesn't fold in. Actually, I wonder if that's clay or if... yeah, let me get this with clay. There's a little blob of fiberglass. It's come through on one side, and I want to incorporate that to the flange, but I don't want that resin to stick to it, so I'm going to blob a little bit of clay and smooth it out over that, just so it doesn't adhere. there's a small spot where the fiberglass kind of went through the cards and blobbed on the other side. And that being because I was using cards as a flange, and they got so saturated with, I wanted to use metal shims, but I couldn't find any. And they don't make tin cut metal shims up here thin enough, like playing cards, to where I could just stick it in here. So now I've got that done, I could just put that aside. Alright, we'll mix our resin here real quick. I had to get some more resin. Do a fairly large batch of resin here with this pot here. Because not only am I going to be putting on 16, there we go. Not only am I going to be putting on the beauty coat, but I'm also going to be putting on 2 coats of fiberglass. I'm going to start off with this fiberglass cloth, which is just a regular woven fiberglass cloth like this. And then I put fiberglass mat on top of that. And I've got that right here, and I've got chopped mat. So I intermix both of those, and then I layer the rest of it. I'll put fiberglass cloth, fiberglass chop, and then fiberglass cloth and chop. Kind of intermix it back and forth, so that way I have 2 different layers and multiple layers of strength in this thing. So, need to get a pair of gloves. Gonna do that. I've got the windows open and everything, and then the fan's going to be on here, so I'm not going to worry too much about the smell and all that stuff. So it'll be good on that. I did have a respirator mask in here, but somewhere or another it's gotten misplaced, or I might have loaned it out. I don't even remember. But somewhere it's just not in here. I don't think anybody's come in here and stolen it, but out of all the things in the shop, why would they want to take an N95 respirator mask, one of those big 3M, movie things? Okay. So we have about 18 ounces of resin. Let's go 20. Let's just top it off at 20. No, we're going to go 18. If we use more, I'm going to waste it. I got another thing. But we need to measure out now the drop count, and it's 4 drops per ounce, so 4 times 18 is 56. So we're going to go 1, okay, we'll go about that much, because I'm thinking, okay, each quart 10 drops, that's about 56. So we'll figure that out. All right, grab one of our stir sticks here. Stir this puppy up. Get that good and stirred up. And then we'll take a brush, get a big brush. chip brushes. Always use chip brushes. Never use good brushes. Chip brushes. Chip brushes. And just start putting resin on the form. I'll put it on the flange as well. I mean, it's not going to really stick to the fiberglass, to the aluminum foil. But that foil, like I said, that foil is there to keep this from sticking and overlapping on the other side. And it's keeping it from locking to the other side, and also providing a beneficial way to easily release the other side as well. Now, I've had to pre-wax this thing with Johnson's paste wax, and I put 2-3 coats of Johnson's paste wax on this just to make sure everything was sealed off. So there again, the fiberglass didn't stick to the foam. And I'm moving this piece of, now just brushing this form down with resin. I've got the table all done, everything. And I waited, you know, for the fiberglass to cure a little over 24 hours, probably close to 36, before I started this one, the second side, because then I'm going to do the table. Table's been waxed. Now, the reason you want to lay fiberglass resin down is because when you lay this fiberglass up, you do not want any dry spots. And how you get dry spots is not having any fiberglass in there. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is a flange. Now, what I want to do with this, I want to make sure I have my flange. So I'm going to have this thing start from the bottom here on the table with the flap. It's going to go right up against it. And it's going to go right up against it all the way up through here. Like so. Tuck it back on the back side. Tuck it down onto the sculpting. I've taken some scissors and cut these stupid strands that want to always get in the way. That's where the gloves in this case become a nuisance, because the gloves want to have everything stick to them as well. And you can't readily pull off fiberglass strands and work with them and stuff like that without strands of fiberglass being in the way. So like I gotta shake my hands and shake that off and go over here and grab one and pull it off. Shake that off. It's annoying. When you get that piece of fiberglass cloth tucked right there, and nice out and nice and smooth, and just go back in with a slightly wet brush, stipple on the flange part, as well as, and this I'm going to let lay over for a second. You stipple on the flange and brush it up and make sure there's no dry spots of fiberglass cloth at all. You have to make sure there's no dry spots at all. Because this first layer is very, very important. There's no dry spots and there's no bubbles. Because this is one of your imprint coats that you have to put on here to make sure that everything is, all the details are captured. So you cannot have any bubbles whatsoever, or you get air bubbles in the foam. And you have to sand them down. Because you don't want a bubbly, bumpy form. And then I got to stamp and stipulate the bottom to make a flange on the bottom of the table as well. So I want to take this and create a double flange. I want the flange on the side, and then I want one to spread out along the bottom. So that way I can kill two birds with one stone. And this fiberglass cloth does work well for that. It will work to the effect of having to mold itself to the form and create flanges. I'll take my fingers and stick that in there real quick. And then stipple it with fiberglass when it's at the smooth edges, so it will hold. Unlike the playing cards that kept trying to want to fall over, now I have something solid to work with. And see, here's why I put that foil over these cards. Because not only do I want something solid to be on, but see how I'm brushing this up? I could inadvertently have some resin go over to the other side, and if it did, it will cause it to lock on the other side, and that's not a good thing. You do not want a lock at all. Period. When you have a lock, you can't get either side of these things off. It is so difficult. And the reason I'm using fiberglass cloth is because matte is chopped. That means the strands are loose like they are on my fingers. And they can find places to lock into. This is woven. So this is actually a stronger cloth part to put on here. So now here we come with the tricky part right here. I've got part of the lip here to do as well. So what I'm going to do first is I've got to make a tuck. There's a slight tuck here. So I've got to put this flange up, mold this in here on this, and tuck it. And that's where it gets tricky with this. With the fiberglass mat, I could do that. I could just lay it on there, stipple it in, and whammo, it's on. But I want this cloth to do this, and this is where it's getting frustrated. Because the stupid dumb gloves are wanting to pull everything away. So I'm going to take this and go down further. And I'm just going to stipple this on there because I got a big piece here for the flange. And I'll just put that little piece there for the flange. Alright. Oh, mercy. Every once in a while you come up with frustrating parts of this. Okay. Another piece here. Lay this out on here. Oh, let's see. So I'm trying to get the flange done. And I can probably start laying out. I want to lay out the throat here. So I got to manipulate this cloth to fit in and around here very nicely. And of course, like I said, the stupid idiotic gloves are going to grab every little bit of fiber and try to pull it away. That's why I don't do the chopped fiber first. If I did, I'd have tons of chopped fiber on my hands. And it would be a damn mess. These woven cloth fiberglass bonds stick together better because they're woven together like they look like bed sheets with a little bit of a collapse on the outside because you see where it's been flayed on the outside. I just take a little bit of fiberglass, the resin, and I'm hitting this mat just to soak it and get all the air bubbles out. Even on the flange, it's good to get the air bubbles out. Because when you put these wing nuts and stuff in here, and you have bubbles, and you get a wing nut that goes through a bubble and it cracks, that bubble, that'll weaken that flange spot. And anytime you put pressure on a flange with like foam molding, it'll further weaken that area and it'll cause your form to blow out with a potential blowout. Which means if you put too much pressure on the form with the foam, it stands a chance of blowing a hole like a blown tire. It'll blow a hole through the side of the form and the foam will leak out. I mean, it's just like crack, boom. And then you have to redo it all over again. Or you could patch it, but then you got that crack, that hole to deal with. So, you know, you don't want that to happen. And, you know, that's not good. Okay, so I've got these all the way around the form. I'm going to do a little bit on the bottom here. Y'all really can't see it, but I'm going to try to get you in on an angle where you can. Put you down here on the table, maybe. Let's see here. We can get this. Lord have mercy. You'll probably look from behind me. I don't have any place to set this. There we go. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to take shot map, and well, let me see if I can get this. I've got this cut here. I'm going to go ahead and just do this. Take some long parts here and lay them lengthwise up and down the form. Now see, everything wants to stick to this resin, and I've got everything just starting to annoy me. We have another big piece of cloth right here. If you don't stop, I'm going to rip the shit out of you. That was one of the biggest things about fiberglass molding. These things are annoying. The strands are fucking annoying. They get everywhere. I'm going to switch out gloves here in a second. I'll do that long piece so it will fit and cover everything proportionally. And I start out the high spot here and just start brushing and stippling in and going down on it. It pulls away, but you go back in, you stipple, stipple, stipple. And you have to make sure to stipple really well so there's no bubbles. Sometimes it takes a while, but eventually it happens. You can take your form off, the thing off, and just push it down and get that sheet just nice and smooth all the way around. You know what? Forget it. Take that off. Take that off. Put it aside. Fuck it. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to use chopped strands. Forget it. Just throw that away. Waste it. I've got a huge roll of this stuff over there. It doesn't matter. I'm seeing a pattern here where this thing's not going to play and it's not going to cooperate, and I don't have time for the bullshit. So fuck it. You can sit over there and dry your little crusty ass off. I'll put chopped strands on here. I don't give a shit. You're not going to fuck with me, and you're not going to mess this up. That's it. That's the bottom line. Because this is mine, and I said so, damn it. You're not going to fuck this up. I'm not going to let myself mess this up because some stupid fiberglass cloth doesn't want to play nice and work. So we'll just take chopped mat and lay it over the same damn way we just did that damn fiberglass. And boom. Stipple that shit in. Cut this sumbitch. With a double folded. So I'm starting to get mad, starting to cuss. And that's where you can tell I'm getting frustrated. When I start to cuss, that's it. Because I am not going to mess this up. This is a one-shot deal. And I'm not messing this up. Period. Period. Pure fucking get the damn gloves and go to hell with these gloves. Just go to hell with those gloves. I want to stick to everything. So if I don't touch the fiberglass, I'm good. Resin takes care of that shit. That's why I didn't want to use chop molding, but you know what? Forget it. Chop molding always wants to bubble up. But you got to put tons of resin on that to get it to lay down. Soak it. Don't be afraid to soak it. Put this bitch in the bath. Put it in the bath. It's going to soak it. It'll be 5 layers deep, 2 layers each, 5 layers, five times. It'll be 8 to 10 layers. If I don't lose count on how many layers I put on here. You don't stop with that bullshit. Bring y'all back up here and see what I'm doing closer. Fiberglass is already trying to work against me. Already trying to work against me. See, wants to play this bullshit, and it gets me frustrated and angry because nothing wants to stick and form and shape and mold and all that shit. And it really annoys me. I used to do, back in the day when we used to make fiberglass molds, they used to have pre-soaked fiberglass strands where you just take them up and lay them up. But you make such a mess doing that, I figure it's just easier to stipple and do all this stuff on here as you go. Look at this shit. Look at this mess. Look at this fucking mess. And this is what gets me so angry, that sometimes if you get to the point where you just want to give up and you just throw your brush down and get angry and get mad and just say, screw it, I'm done with this. You can go to hell. You think you know it all. You think you're smart. You think you're Mr. Fancy Pants. Kiss my ass. See? But you can't give up. You've got to stick with it. No matter what it is. Whether it's molding, it's sculpting, it's fucking casting, it's just whatever. You got to stick with it. You cannot give up on anything. I used to have anger problems really badly when I first started this, and it was like I would get mad and say, okay, you know, you think you're the smarty pants, you know it all, blah, 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 and take a bat and proceed to beat the hell out of something like this just because I need to get my anger out. I no longer do that because, you know, I'd end up destroying what I'd worked on and it wouldn't accomplish anything. So, you know, there you go. You've got something you work so hard on, then you get frustrated and angry with it and just destroy it out of trying to show, you know, that you're top dog and you're the big shit and all that stuff, you know. It doesn't work. You just got to have patience and keep at it. I did come close with tearing that damn fiberglass cloth off, though. I will admit that. I did come real close with that one. The good thing that wasn't 3 or 4 layers in and I was having that frustration. I pulled all them other layers off. I'd have really been up a creek. I'm glad I got the windows in the open because it's hot and I'm sweating. It's not really hot outside, but it's hot in here. I can't quit until this thing has no bubbles. None, no bubbles, period. None whatsoever. Take another chopped strand and cut it. I'll lay that right over where I just went. Not where I just went, but you lay it over right where you were at and kind of overlay the same layer you just did. Now see, there goes the fucking fibers on my fingers again, and I get frustrated with this. Have to roll these little booger shits up and pull them off, and they don't do anything, but just get annoying. But you put on gloves and the same thing happens. Cannot be afraid to overlay this. You have to overlay this fiberglass. Period. That's how it works. And that's still considered one layer, even though it's overlaying on the other layer. It's still one layer. It takes hours, and then what I get is I get a 2-hour break after laying this thing up with 2 layers at one time. Then I get a 2-hour, maybe 3-hour break. Come back out, do another 2 layers, 2 hours, another 2 layers, 2 hours, another 2 layers, so on and so forth, until I've got about 5 times in. I'm laying this up against the flange area too. We don't want this to be stuck with the flange. It's got to lay up with the flange. It has to, because it's part of the mold. You can't just lay it neatly against something. Overlap it. Make sure it's laying over the other part of this. You have a good solid connection between the fiberglass sheets and the matting. Thing that's throwing me off on this is I keep looking at the aluminum foil flange, and my eyes trick me into thinking there are bubbles on that flange, and I keep tapping at it and dabbing at it and dabbing at it, and it's the color of the foil that's throwing me off to make it look like bubbles. So it kind of fools me and tricks me into thinking, ooh, you haven't done this right. I was like, nope, you're just messing with me. One way you can get done quickly with it, but you're running low on resin, you're running low on time, is just take a large piece and just kind of do this and just lay it out. It'll fold over on itself. You just got to work out the bubbles. That's the whole thing, is work out the bubbles. Do small bits, you know, usually small bits work better. But sometimes you could just lay a big sheet out like that, and if it gets too where it doesn't want to curve or conform to the mold, just cut it, lay it over somewhere else. Sometimes it is a little too time consuming to go little chop pieces by chop pieces. So I will take larger pieces like this and just lay them over. And just do that with it. Like I said, if I got to get in there and it doesn't want to conform, it starts messing with me, just cut it. Get all those chopped mat wrinkles and shit in there. I'm just gonna fucking slash and burn this shit. Stupid strings and strands want to get on there and mess around. I'm running low on resin, so I've got I can mix up some more, but I don't want to leave off where I was, so I'm going to take a moment and probably I've got some cut strands there, so I'm going to intermix this again. I don't think I have any more chop left. I don't know. I'll have to go get some more chopped fiberglass. Plenty of cloth, and I can use the cloth, but like I said, if it's a mingled layer of cloth and chop, cloth and chop, that's probably what's better. and best. Fucking stick this shit on here and brush it. Here's another problem. When you lay fiberglass over fiberglass and stippling it, sometimes the underlayer of fiberglass wants to play with you and come up and create a bubble. So you guys just sit there and stab it and stipple it and stab it and stipple it until it just lays back down. And I'm so damn sweaty on this thing, I swear to God. Not giving up, not giving up, not giving up, not giving up. Don't fucking give up. You don't call it a break till this thing is 2 layers in. 2 layers deep. No matter what you got there. Go back with the fiberglass cloth. Lay that thing over there. Rip that bitch around here. Come on. Get it. Get it. Get it. Go on, get it. I've got enough resin in here that I can do this with this. And just kind of layer it up and brush it down. And where you put fiberglass on it, you brush it up and brush it down. Brush it up from the middle and brush it down from the middle down. And go back and forth. And when you get the resin on there, and get good layering. And get rid of them air bubbles. So I like this cloth better than I do that chop. Cloth holds together a lot better. It's just sometimes it gets to be annoying. I've still got that piece over there that's laying there saturated in resin. I'm going to use it here in a second. This piece I got frustrated with earlier, guess what's going to happen to it? It's going to come over here and it's going to become a part of this. All the way down here on the bottom. Yes, Lord. Let's put that shit in there. Tighten it up. Lay it over. Put it down. Get it on. Tuck it in. Read it a fucking bedtime story and put this bitch to bed. Let's go. Come on. I'll stipple the flange on the front of this too. Front part of this is also important on the bottom. I want to go back and make sure that I've got my flange covered there as well. Fucking dry fibers and strands are driving me nuts. They fucking drive me nuts. Y'all would think I got 2 layers on that bottom part that I just did. Nope, that's 1. I count that as 1, even though if there's 2 cloth layers overlapping. Last piece of chop cloth. Son of a bitch, you motherfucking goddamn fibers. That's it. Get your fucking asses off my hands. Sorry about the cussing and fussing, but this is a frustrating part that gets to me. Really annoys the hell out of me. I mean, severely annoys the hell out of me. There's some chop that I can use for something else. Like I said before, you brush from the middle up, coat and cover it in resin, stipple it as you go. And from the middle down, you can stipple and brush down. And also brush to the middle too. It's just, and we'll get these air bubbles, get this thing smooth as possible. It should have enough fiberglass resin on here that by now it's just sticking to it. And it's going to adhere to the shape and everything. It should have enough fiberglass resin to be able to do that. If it doesn't, you're doing something wrong. Never be afraid to stipple that resin in there and just fucking get that shit on there and just make sure that this thing is all saturated and wrinkle free, bubble free. It's got to be right up against that form, nothing but cloth. And I'm pretty sure everybody's tapped out by now. Anybody watching? Of course, y'all got Valhalla, the Assassin's Creed, Valhalla, and games to play and things to do. It's boring watching me do this. This video get fast forwarded before it gets put on YouTube, that's for damn sure. I've done some cussing and fussing in here that's... I got any more chop? Nope. I gotta cut some more cloth. This resin's starting to get goopy on me. Alright, well, that's pretty much it, because I've got this resin starting to turn into goop and tar, so I'm going to let that be it. I think I'm going to throw this little batch of shit on here. Right here. Across the eyes. And I'll put this down in here on the form somewhere. And then that'll be the last piece of chopped. It's just junk, really. It's junk cloth, but it's anything that covers and coats helps. So I don't give a shit. Even the junk fibers have to lay down. You know, these weird, wild strands, they gotta lay down flat. You can't let them sit up. You gotta fucking put everything down flat. Everything. And gobby shit. There we go. That's pretty much it for the first 2 layers. So I'm going to go from here. It's already starting to goob up. And it's getting clumpy, the resin. So I'm going to leave this, come back out, cut some more strap, chop, do the same thing over and over and over and over all day long. Oh shit. Well, this was going to be a video where I was going to come out and show, oh look, I finished Cujo, I'm going to demold it. But guess what? I spoke too soon. I got one side already done here, all the way around. So there's a nice flange right here. All the way around on the bottom. You can see that there's a ton of resin. You gotta cut that. But, come around the other side, where I started, it's done, but there's not so much a flange. I have to rebuild a flange right here for this. All the way back, bring it out a little bit, and if you look on here, I didn't do such a good job on this part of the flange. When I started out, you see how you still see the plan cards? And you really don't see a solid thing like this. You see more fiberglass and resin. See, it needs to look like that. So I got to go back in and rebuild. Take this foil, fold it over like so. And see, this is where it's good and incremental. It's not really a mistake, as per so I have the chance to go back and rebuild in this area a flange and make this stronger. So when I do pull this apart, and I can, and that's what I was coming out here to do, is just pull it apart. But I've got to rebuild this part down here and flange here. So what I'm going to do is just show you guys that process real quick. I got to turn this around. Okay. Get my thing here. I'll fold this aluminum foil over. Turn this around. Hold it back. That way the resin doesn't drip and lock on the other side. Turn this all the way around. Put a block of wood up under here to balance it off so I can have a flat flange. Okay. Then take the resin, weigh it out. Probably not going to do that much. Let's see, I'll probably need 6 to 12 ounces of this. 6 ounces. Or 8 ounces. Yeah, I'm not going to need that much. So 8 ounces of this stuff. Alright. So 8 ounces of resin. I get a catalyst. And we're 4 drops. 4 times 8 is 40. So I'm going to need 40 drops of resin here. Oh, have I got that one? Oh, I got another one in here somewhere. Hang on just a second, gotta clip the end of this, poke the end of this catalyst thing. There going. Hang on just a second, I'll be right back. You got your little catalyst thing that comes with the resin. I got to poke a hole in the end of it. I think it's, oop. take this thing and poke a hole in the end of it. The tube. There you go. I'll drop in 32. There's got 32 drops of catalyst to the resin. Stir that up. Okay. Stir that up real good. And one thing about fiberglass is when it does cure or dry, you can layer it. So that's a good thing. It's not boxed if it dries and it's finished and you can't add to it. So that's a good thing. So now I'll take fiberglass sheets right here and I'll measure off what I need for the flange. Figure out, okay, we'll cut it in strips here. Let's fold it up. Cut this thing in strips here. And take that strip and lay it on top and cut another one. About the same size distance I need. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, and I cut these in half. Okay, take your paintbrush. Lay up some resin on here. And we're just laying it up on here, like so. Take your fiberglass, put it up there. Now I want this to be attached to the form. So I am going to stipple it in on top of the form at the same time as I'm doing it right here with the resin. So I'm just going to dab, 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 dab. Dab, 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 dab. All over. Yeah, I know I'm getting resin on my fingers. It's okay though. I don't mind. Dab and stab. Just dab and stab that on there. I'm going to probably put about 2 more layers of fiberglass resin up here. On top of here. I'm going to do a chop layer. And then I'm going to do a cloth layer on top of that. And get all these bubbles out, no any bubbles. Get a good solid flange. Right there. Put some resin on there like that. Let me get a glove because I'm going to put a glove on. I'll put a glove on the hand that I'm going to put this fiberglass and resin up with. Okay, here we go. Let's lay that down like so. Put that on the flange there. Tuck it down in there like that. Good. Dab and stab, dab and stab. Now when I go to sleep tonight, by the time I get up in the morning, this will be dry. Then I can do the unmolding. Which will be nice, because then I got to take this off. I got to drive bolts through it. And put bolts and screws in it. Wing nuts. Then I got to get some boards and measure out the bottom part there. So I still have to make the backer boards for it. I have to go to the hardware store maybe tomorrow and get some 1/2 inch board sheets of plywood, measure and cut them, and do that. All I'm doing is dabbing and stabbing all the way down. So I call it dab and stab, dab and stab, dab and stab. Now chopped is good to use, but cloth is stronger. Fiberglass cloth is actually stronger than the chopped pieces. Chopped pieces do make a good underlayer. But the cloth is really what reinforces the whole thing. So like I said, there'll be a chop layer going down, and then there'll be a cloth layer over it. Same for the bottom. And you want to overlay your fiberglass a little bit from what you did onto the next piece. Why does this thing keep turning? Cut up some more fiberglass and get the front part of this before I do the flange. On the bottom, that is. But once I do that flange on the bottom, the thing has to set still until it can be moved when it's dry. I can turn it while I need it, but not until then. Oh, there we go. Cutting these sheets about 2 inches. I make a good 2-inch flange. That way I don't have to go back in and shave and cut and shear all that off. I'm going to bring this around here where I can get this dabbed and stabbed over here. Sorry I did that. I'm going to do that again. Dab and stab right on top. I have to put some fiberglass up there. Put some more down here. Lay that over there, just kind of double layering it just to thicken it up a little bit, as well as making sure that it stays on there. You gotta blend it in. Make sure that's nice and blended in. Lay another piece on top of that. Dab and stab that. And lay another piece right there, just to reinforce it toward the bottom. I just mixed up enough just to do this flange area right here. That's pretty amazing. I'm getting pretty good at my guesstimates on measurements and volumes and that type of thing about how much I need for what I need to do. And I got a piece of scrap fiber, some scrap cloth here I can use. So I can take some scrap cloth, lay it up there like that, put it right on there. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. Can't have any bubbles in the flange, because if you do, there will be seams that foam gets past the seams on this thing. But this is the outer layer. This is the very outer layer. So this is not so detrimental as the under layer is when you do it closer to the form. You take the scrap pieces of cloth, put them on there, just reinforce this thing to do this to make sure it stick stays and stab, and just go at it. Make sure all that cloth is saturated, there's no dry spots, there's no bubbles, nothing. A little bit extra sticky on there. And I can take this cloth that I've got here. This fiberglass cloth is really good. Really good stuff. The only annoying thing is the strings that come off of it. They get everywhere. On your clothes and everywhere. And I want to stick to every damn thing they come in contact with. Just saturate it where you can still see the cloth, but you don't see any white on it. It looks like it's resin soaked. And there's no bubbles in it. But like I said, on the outer layer, it doesn't really matter. You just want to try to make sure you have a solid enough flange, thick enough that when you screw these bolts in, it's going to hold well together. Oh, that's what I hate about this. I'm going to take this glove off now. There's too many fibers on it, and it doesn't want to cooperate with anything I'm doing. And the last little bit of fiberglass here, I have to make up another batch. Got enough to finish this. I have to mix it up another little batch to get the rest of this done. And get another one. A cloth reinforcement right down here over this, and just overlay that. The flange is there, it's just not as thick and solid as I want it to be. Need to make it at least about, I'd say maybe 3-4 layers thick. So it's good enough to withhold pressure. Because this will be compressed foam. And it needs to be able to withstand pressure without cracking or giving away. And we might have enough for one more. Of course, Tofu West guy's going to weigh in and say something. What the hell is he going to weigh in to? I don't know if y'all can hear it, but my new fan is so quiet. There's a big old floor fan over here right next to me to keep these things, the fumes away from me. So, you know, I'm not actually adhering to safety protocols by wearing a ventilated mask and that type of thing, but, you know. Well, windows are open. There's good ventilation in here. So, I'm not 110% worried about the fumes and stuff because although they are toxic, you know, I've got enough ventilation in here, I'm not going to worry about it. Can't even really smell it, that's the whole thing. Alright, well, I've run out of fiberglass, so I'm going to let that set. I'm going to do another batch and get the flange done. What the hell? Might as well get it finished. Get it done. No sense putting it off. Do it now. Cut up some sheets and go ahead and lay this out and get it finished up. So when I come out here tomorrow, it'll be longer than 4 to 6 hours and it'll dry. And I can just start trimming it and fold it apart. Nut and bolt it. Wing nut and bolt it. And get ready to do the first pour. As soon as I get backer boards for it. That's the one thing I'm missing is backer boards. I gotta do my backer boards. Put a little bit more resin in here. I'm not going to do that much this time. A little careless thing. Put that over there.